Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Inspiring Retail stage here on day 4 of Autumn Fair 2021. And hello to everyone joining us virtually as we are live on the Autumn Fair app. If you are joining us virtually, please don't forget to get your questions in via the Ask the Speaker function on the app. Right, kicking us off on day 4, we have Brook-Carter, CEO of Retail Trust, and Julie Driscoll, Managing Director of the Hyve Group, with their discussion on supporting colleagues in retail to thrive. So please put your hands together for Chris and Julie, please.
Sorry, 1 minute. Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Driscoll, Managing Director for Hyve Group plc, and in a minute or so, I'm delighted to welcome to the stage Brook-Carter, who is CEO of the Retail Trust. It's fair to say that retail has been through its most challenging trading period over the last 18 months, from those who've been able to stay open to those that were forced to close. One thing is for sure, that our people have felt it. Spring and Autumn Fair have decided to partner with the Retail Trust over the next 3 years because we all need to become more aware of how we can support our people and their well-being at a time when we all need it most. The Retail Trust are an amazing organisation that helps everyone in retail, from retailers to anyone in their supply chain, with just about anything they need. We felt it was time to really amplify the work they do, and I am delighted to welcome on stage Brook-Carter, CEO of the Retail Trust, to talk about all the brilliant work that they do. Please put your hands together.
Thanks so much, Julie. And first of all, an enormous thank you to everyone at Spring and Autumn Fair for supporting us. It's a fabulous partnership, and we're absolutely thrilled to be able to be part of this amazing show. And congratulations on a hugely successful few days as well. I hear it's been incredibly inspiring for everyone involved. I thought I'd start by giving you a little bit of background on who the Retail Trust is. And what our story is. Not as many people know about our organisation as we would like, despite the fact that actually we are almost 190 years old. In fact, we are the oldest industry-funded charity in the country, which I think is something that the industry and the sector should be very proud of indeed. We were founded in London in 1832 by a group of entrepreneurs who came from all walks of the retail sector: department stores, textile, fashion, cotton traders. And they came together to create an organisation to look after the health of their people. So they were very early, sort of pre-Benthamite thinkers who had already started to put together the idea that a happy, a healthy workforce was important for a flourishing business, a flourishing industry, and actually a flourishing society as well. We were very lucky that the very first meeting of that group of people was recorded by a journalist from the Times, and in our offices in London we have a copy of the article that he produced, which gives us a beautiful story actually about why we existed in the first place. And they talk in that article about the fact that this organisation was set up to promote happiness. It was set up to create a coalition of organisations and people who were determined to create better environment and better circumstances for their people. Fast forward 190 years, and the amazing thing is that is still why we exist. That is still what we're trying to do today. Those founding principles are still what guide our mission now, which is to create hope, health, and happiness for everyone involved in retail. We now fundamentally do that via 3 channels. So we work heavily in the space of social mobility, where we use our skills and our connections with traineeships and training providers. We provide digital poverty grants, and then use our connections with retailers to get people into work, get people, children from disadvantaged backgrounds, school leavers, 16 to 24-year-olds into work for the first time, helping underpin the very important place that retail provides in terms of social mobility. It's the biggest employer of young people in the country, and it's one of the best meritocratic industries in the country as well. And we want to play a pivotal role in ensuring that that story is told. Right at the other end of the spectrum is that we run about 500 properties up and down the country where we provide brilliant quality social housing for those people who've retired out of the sector but maybe need some help with their health or can't necessarily always afford good quality housing themselves. And we provide the means for them to have a fulfilling, independent life on one of our estates, 5 estates up and down the country. And then the bulk of our work is done in the middle. So we then look after the health, hope, and happiness of everyone who's actually working in the trade of retail now. And we do that by providing them with access to mental health support via an amazing website with huge amounts of content around how you can take control of your own health, through to access to NHS standard counselling, cognitive behavioural therapy. We provide training, a lot of mental health training for the leadership of the sector, line managers, as well as individuals about how they can be more resilient at work. We provide financial aid. So last year we gave out about £1 million in non-repayable grants to those people that had fallen on hard times, keep them in their house, be able to pay utility bills, unexpected bills around their house, those sorts of things. So that's what we do in the middle, in that middle part, supporting those who are working in the sector. Why do we believe that this is so important? Well, we have a really firm belief that business has an enormous role to play in supporting public health. We spend a huge amount of time at work, and we know that if you're not enjoying work, if you have issues with your line management, if you find your work dull or boring or repetitive, this can have a major impact on your mental health. And so we are campaigning and really pushing the idea that business needs to take responsibility for the health of their employees. And these stats up here were off the back of some research that we ran at the early part of this year, which I think just brings that a little bit to life. So this was run in about March, so as you can imagine, we'd been through 2 lockdowns at this point. And it ran over about 3,000 or 4,000 people filled out this survey. And as you can see, around 68% of line managers across the retail sector felt that they were now having to take on much more burden, mental health burden of those people who were working for them. 89% of employees won't actually talk to people within their own businesses about their mental health problems, which is why it's so important that businesses and we as a society provide other means for people to get access for help. And this last stat is really important. There's been a huge jump in presenteeism. And presenteeism is when you don't take time off for work when you're unwell, but you still turn up to work unwell and therefore can't perform. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment, but there's a big jump in presenteeism, which is quite typical, unfortunately, during times of crisis. Economically, there is a very, very strong argument as to why businesses, society should be invested in providing better support around mental health. There's 10 days on average lost per employee due to mental health problems, and we believe that it costs the UK economy around £42 billion a year. So there is a big economic link as to why this work is really important. There is clearly a huge moral link as well as to why business must take a bigger role in public health as well. So I thought one of the things that we also ought to do is just talk a little bit about what we're going to see going forward. So I've talked about some of the things that have happened in terms of public health and in people's mental health over the last 12 months, but what are some of the bigger trends that we're seeing on the horizon? The first of these is something called the Titanic effect, and this is named after a phenomenon that was seen when the rescue ships turned up to rescue people after the Titanic had gone down in the early part of the 1900s. And what they noticed was that large numbers of people actually passed away once they'd got onto the rescue ships. So they'd stayed alive, they'd managed to struggle and stay alive in the sea freezing conditions for many, many hours. And it was the moment that they got onto the rescue ships, or the moment that they rescued, that they then sadly passed away. So the Titanic effect is a phenomenon whereby actually what you see during times of crisis is that sickness rates and absenteeism actually goes down. And we've seen this over the last 12 months. And based on many years of experience, and when we've looked back, our experts within the Trust will tell you, is that as soon as things start to turn to normal again, we're going to see absenteeism rise. Because what's been happening is this rise in presenteeism, where people have pushed through being unwell, pushed through mental health issues, pushed through physical health issues during the last 12 months, stayed at work, perhaps haven't been performing as well as they would want to be, and there is now the fear of a major burnout within our workforce across the UK. And what we would suggest is that we've got to get the skills and the knowledge into the industry so that line managers, leaders of businesses can spot signs of burnout, spot signs of mental health-related issues, and make sure that their people are looked after as we come out the other side of this crisis. The second big trend, sadly, that's going on at the moment is that whilst it's fantastic that we're all talking about mental health more at the moment, and that there's huge amounts more of information out there, it is creating a rise in self-diagnosis. Now, it's important to say that when people self-diagnose, it doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't got a mental health condition, but it does mean that there's a lot of wrong diagnosis going on. And again, I think what's really important here is that we get the right training into the sector, we get the right training into organisations, so that line managers feel confident about taking the right steps to signpost people that perhaps have got mental health problems into the right resources. There is also a rise, I think, in people misunderstanding mental health as well. And there is a big difference between feeling low, feeling sad, unhappy, which has happened to, I would say, all of us over the last 12 months, and having a recognised, clinically diagnosed mental health condition. There is also a difference between feeling anxious and having an anxiety disorder. And so these are the sorts of things that we need to talk about more. These are the sorts of things that we need to campaign around. These are the sorts of things where areas where we've got to get training into the sector and an understanding so that there aren't misdiagnoses and we can get the right people to the right help at the right time. Sadly, the other big trend that we are seeing coming through our helplines at the moment is a rise in self-harm. And also reports of people feeling suicidal, having suicidal feelings. Now, there's no evidence to suggest that there will be a rise in suicides as we come out of this at the moment. We haven't got any data on that at the moment. But we do know that through our helplines, and we got around 200,000 people accessed our help in one form or another over the last 12 months, that there are rises in people reporting issues of self-harm and suicidal feelings. And so again, it is really important that we keep talking about this, that we normalise talking about it, and it's again really essential that line managers, those people that are looking after their teams, looking after their people, understand how to correctly recognise those signs, and then know how to safeguard those people that might be at risk, and get them to the right professional support. And we do an awful lot of training, and if there was, I guess, what do those trends mean? What are we now campaigning on as an organisation? Well, the first really important role that we play, and why we are so delighted to be here and so happy to have this opportunity to talk to everyone at Autumn Fair, is that we really need to lobby. And that means lobbying the industry, it means lobbying society, it means lobbying businesses to recognise the really important role that business must play in public health going forward as we come out of this pandemic. I believe we've got this once-in-a-generational chance to really establish some groundbreaking change in the way that we look after ourselves here. The important thing for me is that we don't lose this opportunity as a society and as an industry to really embed all the positive things that have come out of the COVID crisis, where we have talked about mental health much more, and people are thinking about their own health much more. What frightens me is that as we go, businesses open up and things start to get back to normal, that it'll slip down the radar again. So lobbying really hard, starting to set some standards around what good looks like, really establishing how to measure the impact of this kind of work within businesses is the first thing. The second thing that we're doing is trying to establish, look, what does a great mental health strategy look like within a business? So when we went out and surveyed the 200, 250 or so large retailers that work with us about what they were doing, what was clear is that a number of them had taken some amazingly positive steps around looking after and safeguarding their people over the last 12 months. And hats off to all of the HR teams across the country. I can't imagine how difficult a time it has been for them, and they have done some absolutely fabulous stuff. But so far, it's been very tactical. And we need to move the conversation on from understanding what is a tactical response to looking after your people and their mental health to what is something that is strategic. And for it to be strategic, we've got to measure it. And therefore establishing what the right KPIs are and what the right inputs are right now is really essential, and we're doing some great work in bringing the sector together to have the debate about, look, what should we measure, what data should we be measuring correctly to really make sure we can understand what a great mental health strategy looks like in business and in industry. And we would encourage anyone, please, listening to this or getting to see this video who wants to get involved in that work to come forward and get in touch with us. And then the final pillar of the work that we're doing now is then, okay, once we've lobbied and we've created the halo effect and we've established the fact that this is really important, we've built a coalition of businesses and leaders and individuals who want to get involved in this work. We've started setting a direction for what a great mental health strategy looks like within the workplace. We're doing some fabulous work around giving people and people leaders and organizations and the industry the tools now and the training to take that forward. Colleagues, people leaders need access to the right help and support to make this work. Firstly, we need to empower individuals to take control of their own health. That's really important. But secondly, we definitely need to upskill the leadership of the industry, those people who are running businesses, running teams, running stores, to give them the right skills so they can identify problems within their teams and signpost their team members to the right help as and when appropriate. So many, many thanks to everyone who's watched this video and has come to this session here. I'm delighted again to be here. Huge, huge thank you to Hyve and the team at Autumn Fair. It's a real privilege to get this opportunity. Please, if you've not heard of us, do look us up on the web. We would like as many people as possible to join this coalition. We believe passionately in the work that we're doing and this enormous opportunity that we all have to reset and place business and our work right at the heart of the debate around public health. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you once again. If you keep your round of applause going, Chris.